Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Prime Live. Unpacking DeepSeek and AI, we're talking to Brendon Peterson, our resident tech guru, who's here to dive deep into the fascinating world of AI, more specifically, the revolutionary DeepSeek. Get ready to explore the latest advancements in AI and how they're impacting our lives in ways you might not have imagined. So, without further ado, let's hear from Brendon Peterson, our guide to the AI universe. Brendon, DeepSeek has been making waves lately. Can you give us a quick rundown of what it is and what it's capable of?
Yeah, DeepSeek has been shaking up the entire AI industry over the last few weeks. Not just because of how advanced it is, but I think more specifically because of where it comes from. Unlike ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, or Anthropic and Claude, or Gemini, which comes from Google, DeepSeek is from China. Those three other models that I just mentioned are from the US. And over the last sort of few months, few weeks, we've seen the US work very hard to make sure that China doesn't have access to the most advanced technology to be able to make these advanced AI models. So things like the chipsets from NVIDIA. So the fact that China's been able to make something this advanced that is able to rival ChatGPT, not just in terms of how capable it is, but also in terms of cost. Because if you look at the investment from companies like Microsoft, OpenAI, Google, all these companies over the last sort of few months, couple of years, Meta included, you're looking at hundreds of billions of dollars spent to be able to get us to this stage of, ChatGPT or Claude being able to do these things. Whereas DeepSeek, China was saying they were able to do it in a matter of weeks, not years or months, and they were able to do it for about 5 to 6 million US dollars. So far cheaper, far faster, and yet as advanced as what we've been seeing from many of these other companies.
No, I would agree a lot there actually, also because the cost, like you mentioned, is such a significant impact, and it begs to wonder how how much is Nvidia's chips actually worth? What are the hardware pricing actually? Are they screwing the people over? What is actually going on? And also brings the question of what you mentioned, that China's DeepSeek will manage to get their hands on the Nvidia chips when the country was actually banned. So how were they capable of doing that? And without further ado, many people are understandably worried about AI taking over jobs. In your opinion, how will DeepSeek and similar AI technologies impact the job market, both positively and negatively?
I get this question a lot, and it's a lot more nuanced, I think, than people believe it actually is. I think with any major technological advancement, we've always seen this question or concern about, jobs being lost. We saw it with the printing press, we saw it with the mechanization of so many other industries. So this is not a new concern, but it doesn't mean that it's not a valid concern. And I think that if we look realistically at the headlines we've seen, the stories we've seen online, unfortunately, there have been a lot of sort of retrenchments from companies, and a lot of people are attributing it to AI. And to that, I say yes and no. It is AI, but it's also not. AI is certainly improving a lot of things that we do and is automating a lot of things that people are able to do. But at the same time, these are sort of not decisions that the AI is making. For example, it's decisions that companies are making purely because of bottom line profits. We've seen companies saying we've got record profits, but we're still going to let people go. I think Salesforce is one of the most recent ones, as recently as either this morning, yesterday morning, saying they're letting people go. So there is that concern, and understandably so. In terms of sort of positive impacts on the job market, I think what we're going to be seeing is there is the potential for a lot of these sort of really boring sort of mundane tasks to be automated, so freeing people up to do sort of more interesting, more challenging things. But I think that you also need to look at AI as a whole. Even if AI is coming to the market as it is, you are still going to need, lawyers for legal cases, that may or may not involve AI. As it stands right now with AI still needs human training, human intervention, for prompt training to check and see for biases, all of those things. So even though AI has rapidly changed the market, there is still a lot of place for a lot of work, and I think we're also going to see a lot of rise of sort of things like bricklayers, sort of more hands-on kind of work, woodworking, carpentry, pottery, that sort of thing. Because the more the needle changes and sort of pushes in the direction of technology, the more we get to want more human-made things. And even companies like, I think, Anthropic, when they're hiring people, if you go and look at the job application, they say, yes, we know you're going to use AI tools for this application. Please do not use AI. We want to know your authentic human self. So I think that should give people a little bit of hope, that there is a little bit of positivity in the industry.
I would agree actually, because then how would actually take care of the hardware updates and all of these type of things. So obviously there is still open space for jobs and everything for people, because I mean the AI can't actually take over entirely unless it has its own brain of its own, you know. So also that brings to question, we often hear about its potential for good, but there's also concerns about its potential misuse. Can you elaborate on that?
This is such a great question, and it's a conversation that I love so much because I think we can have this conversation about any technology. We're having it about AI now, but we still have this conversation about things like social media, Instagram, TikTok, all of these things. We have this conversation about smartphones, TV. So this is again not a new conversation, and I think if you look at technology as a whole, it's always something that I sort of look at as a tool. It can be used for good or for bad. It's how it's being used by the person or people who are using it. So with something this advanced, obviously there's even more opportunity for misuse. If we look at cybersecurity, for example, we've seen more cybersecurity attacks, but now what you're also seeing is sort of these bad actors using AI to help sort of bypass security measures. So now what this means is companies now also have to use AI to combat this. So unfortunately, there is a lot of potential for misuse, but you can also say that for almost any other technology that does exist. I think what makes it more concerning now is we've built a culture of people automatically believing what they see online, not double checking, not researching, not looking for, sort of backup evidence or anything like that. And it'll be my friends, next door neighbors, cousins, brothers send me a WhatsApp saying X, Y, and Z, and I'm automatically believing it. You've now got deep fakes, misinformation will get worse, unfortunately. Fake news, the ability to impersonate individuals, and just sort of sway public opinion is going to be a lot easier because of AI. And it's because of these things where, we can easily manipulate pictures, take people or things out of pictures, add things in, make it look like it's a normal picture. So I think there is that concern. And I think with all technology, we need to ask the question of, is the convenience worth the impact on culture and society?
I agree with that actually, because as you mentioned about the deepfake, it brings a real concern and strikes some fear into some people to realize, okay, what are the consumers? What's the difference between human generated content and AI generated content? So, as well as, I'm not sure if you've heard about the latest company China's also released about deepfakes, is Omni-Human, and it also brings out such more depth and detail into the emotions. And this actually, when I was reading upon it, was more concerned to the politics, and now raising questions, will the presidents and the people in politics be using this type of thing? So with that question, how can consumers tell the difference between human generated content and AI generated content? And like you said, also because they have to now battle AI with AI to try and see. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it becomes a lot more difficult now. I mean, I think, you mentioned some really great sort of examples there, but one of the sort of really more recent ones was the poster for, I think it's the Fantastic Four, where a lot of people on social media have been saying, listen, this poster looks like it's been AI generated because, when AI generated images, especially of humans, sort of get out there, you notice things like the hands don't look normal. Either there's extra fingers or there's missing fingers. The facial structure doesn't quite look right. The shadows just look a little bit off. So it's a lot of relying on, wait a second, this thing doesn't look right. As I say, extra fingers on the hands, that sort of thing. Unusual facial structures. So those are sort of the easiest ones. But a lot of the companies, again, Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, Anthropic, all of these companies, they're trying to embed watermarks into these images, into sort of content that's created using this, whether it's images or videos or text-based content. So in the metadata, to make it easier, for for platforms, for companies, for even AI to detect that, wait a second, this is actually AI generated. But this again also speaks to what we were just speaking about a few minutes ago about, the misuse of AI. And this is also where transparency, regulation needs to sort of be more strictly enforced, and ethical AI needs to be developed. So this is where all these sort of behind the scenes things become more important to help educate people. But again, the problem is, when people go online, I'm not going online to spend 3, 4, 5 minutes, zooming into a picture to see how many fingers does this person have, how many fingers does that person have. People are just like, oh, there's an image, we're going to share it. So I think as much responsibility as we need to put in these companies, I think we also need to take some ourselves to educate ourselves to know what to look for, when it comes to AI generated content, and also to stop and ask the question, when you're using AI to edit your own pictures, to remove people, to add things, yeah, it looks good. Is this a thing that I should necessarily be doing?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think how people would do that is actually by keeping up to date with things, to especially with the news and technology, to know what they are, what there is to look at, to figure out what's the difference between these type of things. And obviously, given the rapid pace of AI development, it can be difficult to keep up. Obviously, how can people stay informed and up to date with these latest advancements, both DeepSeek and in AI in general?
There's so many great tech publications and YouTube channels online. I mean, I'll shamelessly, speak about my own on reframe.co, for example, where this is kind of the thing that we cover. I, for example, also have lots of other publications. So, Insider Times, Business Day, Cyber coming out in a couple of months. But I mean, locally, we've got great platforms like hypertext.coza, you've got gadget.co, you've got Biz Community. If you go to social media, there's a lot of great sort of local South African tech content creators who are doing incredible things. On TikTok, we've got someone like Prince Marco. We've got so many others. We've got Tech Scene ZA. If you look on YouTube itself, there's a great YouTube channel called Huge If True, American based. But the woman who does it, Cleo, she's got this great interview she's just done with the CEO of NVIDIA, sort of trying to understand what the vision is with AI. What is the world that he envisions, and how can AI make that happen? And I think if you go for these sort of reputable sources from well-known platforms, publications, and you back it up with other sort of sources, never just rely on, oh, you heard it from me, on here, on Metro, on YFM, or you heard it from one other person. Find other sources, find other bits of information so you can make informed opinions. This doesn't just apply to AI, this applies to everything. Never just rely on one source. But I would definitely go with those. And if you look at things like OpenAI, all of these sort of platforms, they're always releasing news and information, about this is what they're doing. Go and follow the creators on social. So Sama, SAMA, is Sam Altman from OpenAI. He's probably the person to watch the most. Satya Nadella from Microsoft. You can go to Google's actually got blogs themselves, so you can actually Google those. I think it's called Google Keyword. So you can keep up with all of those things on there, and then subscribe to all the sort of well-known established authorities, their newsletters, LinkedIn, all of those sort of things. There's a lot of great places that you can get this information.
Those are a lot of really good links and everything that we'll actually try and put in the subscription actually, so that people can be aware and actually take this knowledge and see it how we see it actually, because I mean this is actually changing the whole world. In the next 5 years there'll be a shift in the jobs, especially in the whole entire world, where you see now people are no more doing accounting. AI is taking over that whole segment, that whole industry basically, and it's taken away the whole thing of actually, do you want to go study accounting, example, or taxing, where it's being done by the click of a finger right now. So no, man, thank you so much, Ben, for having you again. It was really lovely to speak on the segment. I mean, there's so much more we can go in depth. Actually, I would love to speak so much more on it. I mean, it's one of the best topics actually currently, that we can just go back and forth and share this knowledge with so many people. And hopefully we can talk soon about it with constant updates. I mean, just 24 hours ago, Omni-Human came out, and this is China's attack again to USA to say, hey, how are you doing? How's it? So thank you so much again for having you. I think we will be taking an ad break right now. That was Brendon Peterson, everybody. Thank you so much for having us. We will reach you soon. Thank you.